Does it ever feel like there's something in this world that's making sure that your life is as miserable as possible? That it makes sure that your life is destroyed. It makes sure that any peace that you get, any little bit of peace that you have, something always comes up to make your life miserable. Look at the events in your life carefully. Look at all the negative events you've been through. And you can see that a lot of events were orchestrated. Certain people that were placed in your life, certain events that just happened out of nowhere and caught you off guard, and it totally derailed your life. And even if you're somebody that didn't have a lot of things going on, there were still things that make you feel low. There were still things that make you feel small. This world is designed to make you feel small. All the things that you've been through, if you notice, are designed to carefully erode your confidence, to take your confidence away. But not just take your confidence away, one time, but to totally erase your confidence, period. The way people look at you, the way you go to work every single day and nothing ever pays off, the way that you always seem left behind. And what's crazy is that there's billions of people in the world, right? And yet your life had to be the one that's horrible. Your life had to be the one that's more difficult than others. And it makes you realize that whatever being that created this is a sick, twisted, evil bastard. And that's the truth. Because if you're a god and you can't make everybody have a happy, nice life, then either you don't have the power to do it, or the more realistic and the more heinous thing is that it's not that you don't have the power, it's that you don't want to do it. You want to bless certain people, and other people you want to suffer based on your private preliminary prerequisites. And these prerequisites, are authorized by an evil being. The God of the Bible, Yaldabaoth, is a half lion, half dragon chimera. He breathes fire. He has like lightning, flaming fire eyes. He created the archons and the chief archons, or the chief angels or the archangels, if you want to get biblical. And this being, it picks favorites, right? It picks who it wants to bless and who it doesn't want to bless. It plays with people's lives, like the story of Job in the Bible, the story of Job or Job. And it's funny how Job is spelled the same way as a job, Job. And both of them have to go through hell. I wonder if there's any type of symbology through that or any type of metaphors with that. But if you really think about it, what are we really here for as humans in this world? Are we really here just to pay taxes and, work a job you don't like and pay bills? Who does that benefit ultimately? Who does it benefit? How does a God benefit? How does a God benefit from you going to work every single day and paying bills to a world authority? It benefits the demiurge, because that means that you're focused on survival. You're focused on paying bills in the world, and you're focused on, not trying to fall behind, but you're not focused on your soul. You're not focused on the divine light, the divine spark inside your soul. Because all the hard work that you do, all of it, one day is going to be gone. All that hard work, man. All the time that you paid your bills, or maybe you didn't pay your bills, or whatever the heck it is. In 100 years from now, no one's going to care. Do you think anybody cares about the miners back in like 1850? No. Even though they may have done things that helped the area or helped certain people or helped their families, those people are long gone, and their descendants don't even care about them. So in 100 years from now, all of our problems we're going through now will just be obsolete. It'll be gone forever. Yet in the moment, we feel like it's the most important thing. But people like us, man, we understand what life is really about, because a lot of us, we've been left behind. We've been isolated. We've been devastated. We don't have no choice. We don't have no hope. We don't have, any copes hardly. And the copes that we do have it's becoming boring. I love video games, right? But the few moments of joy that I get from playing video games and watching anime, when real life hits me in the face, it takes it all away. When you have to try to find a job while you're homeless, while you don't have a base of operations, while you don't have a family, while you don't have anything, that's difficult. And then you have a skin color configuration in which people automatically think you're a criminal, and people automatically want to attack you. And you just want to try to You just want to just be peaceful, man. And yet this God's sitting here watching it all, and he doesn't do nothing to help you because he's not there to help you. He's the demiurge from narcissism, meaning that he orchestrated all this crap just so you can suffer. And a lot of people don't like believing in that. Who gives a fuck, you know? Because you don't believe in it. But then the elites of this world who control your banking system, you believe in money, right? The people that control your money, they believe in supernatural forces. It's not about belief. Just because you've never had a supernatural experience, you know, doesn't mean it's not real. There's been plenty of people that have seen shit that's supernatural, that have experienced supernatural things that science can't really explain. You know, and science has a bunch of Freemasons, you know, and a bunch of naysayers, you know, and you have like what Schizo Dump said, like, because I've been binge watching a lot of Schizo Dumps, right? And are you gonna take, are you gonna take what a bunch of popes and people like that say, like realistically, these people that be on Epstein's island and all that, you're gonna listen to them? Of course, you're going to tell you. Are you going to listen to what they tell you, what's real and what's not? You know, like these people will be doing on top of evil ancient rituals, you know, and then they keep a tight lid about it. It's a secret about it. You know, this life, man. When you really look at it, the few people that get to really experience life and get all the happiness that life has to offer, they're so damn lucky. But at the same time, they're also under the demiurge's thumb, meaning that if they don't please the demiurge, they can find themselves in our position. But a lot of people, I feel like the demiurge makes wealthy and makes powerful simply because they're willing to spread his wickedness and his evil. Think about the people who become rich and famous. You know, I was watching, what's that one? What's his name? Sneeko or something like that? Well, Sneeko, he got somebody came up to him and punched him, you know, and I heard that guy's a bastard, you know, like I don't really watch him. I just seen a couple of his videos here and there, and he's pretty much an ass. And somebody met him in real life, you know, and all that trolling in real life, it didn't work out when somebody punched him in his mouth. So it was interesting to see that. But somebody like Sneeko, like the demiurge, make somebody like that rich and famous or successful because that person is going to spread controversy. So the demiurge is going to reward that person with, materialistic things. People always like to blame the devil, but who's the father of the devil, right? You guys talk about the Christian Bible and you talk about, how that's God and he's such a good God. He's such a good God. Why does death exist? Why does poverty exist? How come he doesn't stop all this? Why is he letting bad things happen? Do you think a good, loving, caring father who's an almighty being that's been around for eons and eons and eons of time would allow this? I mean, the Gnostic text explains all this. It explains why this God is evil. It explains why this God is jealous. Do you not know the God of the Bible's name? He said his name is jealousy. Look up what I'm saying. He said, my name is jealousy. I'm a jealous God. He didn't say I'm a loving, caring God. He said I'm a jealous God. And you want to worship a being like that? I'm scared to go to hell. I don't want to go to hell and burn forever. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. So you're admitting that you're ruled by fear. So if it wasn't for this hell place this God is threatening you, which you're already in hell now, that you probably wouldn't even worship this God. Tell me this. Would you worship this God if he lost all of his power today? And he did all the wicked things he's done to you? If this God had no power at all to send you to hell and do all this crap, would you really love him? Or do you only love this God because you're scared to go to hell, which means that you're being ruled by fear? And that's the favorite tactic of the elites and powers that are over us, is they rule us by fear. If somebody at your job, is bothering you, you can't just sock them in the mouth because, oh, now you got assault charges and now you do that. Oh my God, why'd you hit that person? Oh my God. People want to act like, that we're not, at the end of the day, we're not humans, and we don't have certain traits that make us like animals in nature, right? When a man feels disrespected and another man's disrespecting you in your face, if you're a real man, your natural inclination is to fight. It's just that simple. Like this blue-pilled feminist, ideology that has poisoned the world, where it's like you're supposed to be disrespected and you're supposed to take crap from all these people and not fight back. Who does that serve? Having a docile community with no nuts, who does that serve but the elites? They don't want people to be fighters. They don't want people to be like the men after World War II. After World War II, the reason why they gave, people all these free homes and free houses and all these business like it wasn't even loans. What was it called? I forgot what it was called. But after World War II, a lot of soldiers coming back from America, they had like all this. They were given like pretty much free businesses and pretty much like free money to build businesses, and they were given like all these homes and stuff, to actually build a life. Except, of course, people like me, of course, people like me, we didn't get nothing at all after World War II, and that's just how it is, But no one likes to talk about that, right? you know, but when you see how unfair this world is and how fair that this life continues to be, there's no way in hell that you can think that there's a good being behind this, and there's no way in hell that you really want to continue. How many of you, if you know that if you like today you had a decision that if you can pass away today peacefully in your sleep and wake up into an anime realm where you have power, you have a little harem, you have beautiful anime girls that like you, you got magical powers, you got some money. If you don't have money, you have enough powers where you can like get money. You can go on anime adventures into beautiful cities and beautiful settings, and you can have a great adventure and a great life. How many of us will be like, freak it, I'll take that. Just go to sleep, have your last final meal, go to sleep, and you wake up and you see like the light goddess, or you see something and they tell you about what kind of power do you want and all that. You get to pick your power. You get to pick your height. You get to pick your race. You get to pick your class. You get to pick you get to pick your special abilities and your special magic. Like you actually get to pick for yourself. You get to pick all these cool things, right? How many of us would like that instead and just leave this world behind, right? I know a lot of us would rather that life instead of having this life where you're constantly under pressure. You constantly have to search for a way to earn money, like a rat trying to find his next piece of cheese. Like you constantly have to think about money, 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 money. And why would a system that's why would a system that's supposed to benefit the people be designed that way, right? Where you got to think about money constantly, but yet these companies are firing people and replacing people with freaking robots. A robot. They're replacing you with a robot. And yet the bills are not getting any cheaper. You would think with artificial integration and the technological innovations and enhancements and augmentations, you would think that things would get more cheaper. But instead, things get more expensive. So what does that say about the people running this world? They don't want our lives to be easier. They want our lives to be harder. They want us to be imprisoned. They want us to be trapped. They want us to be destroyed. They don't want us to be happy. They just don't. Because a happy population that's well fed, that's well organized, that's well armed, is a potential threat to the system when they try to implement new ways of destruction and new ways of corruption that we're going to have to face. And some days, man, a lot of us, we don't even feel like getting up out of, wherever we're at. If you even have a bed, right? So some people sleep on the floor. Some people don't even have beds. So be, no blue pill crap, but be grateful that you have certain things in life. If you're still able to live with your parents, if you have your own room with a bed, I know it sucks that you may live with your parents or whatever, but just be happy that they don't kick you out and leave you to nowhere, leave you to the streets. Some people say, my parents would never do that. Well, be grateful for that then. Yeah, it may be annoying working that crappy job, but be grateful that your parents don't kick you out and throw you out when you don't have nothing already, when you're already mentally ill with nothing, right? Because that's a whole nother hell that you don't really want to experience. Ask me how I know. This is why I dream of actually making it. I know I'm old and it's very difficult for certain things to catch on at this age, but I really hope, man, that somebody in a good position finds me, and is able to put me in a position to win, man. But the demiurge is not going to allow me to be happy simply because me being happy raises my vibrational frequency to something that's positive. And that evil bastard is not going to allow me to be happy. I bet you I could even sell my soul if I wanted. I bet you the demiurge has some type of order that says when it comes to this guy, like everybody else can sell their soul. This person can sell their soul, that person can sell their soul, but this person right here, no, he can't sell his soul. So if I did try to do a blood pack or a blood oath, the damn thing wouldn't even work and I'll still be broke, right? That's how the demiurge has it out for certain people. Certain people, we're not allowed to be happy. We're not allowed to be free. Like we have to constantly be under pressure. We have to constantly be observed and be watched. We have to constantly be in a situation where we feel powerless, where we feel like anything we do is nothing at all. How can you live in a life like this where people tell you, oh man, just work a job and do this and do that. Oh man, you have to work. You have to do this. You have to do that. Okay, so you have to do that. But that person there, he didn't have to do that. That person was born into a rich and successful family. That person had a father who understood business and had business acuity. That person had uncles and grandfathers or whoever the heck that helped them. You know, there's people that I knew like in high school that when their freaking grandfather passed away, these guys inherited millions of dollars. I'm serious. Like this person in high school who I knew, you know, when his grandfather passed away, he inherited like a farm or some type of company that his grandfather had. That's like it was the land was worth like $2 million alone, you know. And then I heard like he didn't even finish high school. I don't think. I think he like cause he dropped out like our senior year or whatever, and he went to go live on that farm. And then he had help from like his brothers, his father, and all that. And you know he had help. And I think eventually he sold it. But when he sold it, he made like millions off of that, right? You know, but I don't think he sold it to like a few years later though. Like after we were all out of high school, whatever. I think we were all about like 22, 23. Then I heard he sold it because I remember him like showing off in like social media and stuff back in the day. And it's just like, damn, how come I didn't have a grandfather that had something like that and passed it down to me? That would have made my life a lot more easier. But knowing the demiurge, if I would have inherited that, I would have, you know, gotten into a car accident and got paralyzed. So yeah, I get to have like the $2 million farm or whatever, but then I can't even walk. Like something like there's always something that balances out your happiness in this world. Have you noticed that? Whenever you get a quote unquote win, there's always something to take it away, right? And that's what I dislike about this world. There's always something to balance out the happiness. There's always something to make you feel low. There's always something that's there to disrupt you. It's there to break you. It's there to make you feel less than. It's there to make you feel like you're nothing. And I don't like that. I don't like a world where it feels like it doesn't matter how hard you try, you're still going to fail. Who in their right mind wants to live in a world like that? You know, really. Who in their right mind want to live in a world where you know everything and all your hard work just leads to, you know, failure? This world has a rapacious appetite when it comes to our destruction and when it comes to corruption. This world, it just doesn't seem like it was made by a good, genuine being. It really seemed like it was made by something that truly wants us to feel like we're nothing, something that wants us to feel destroyed, something that wants us to be in a void of corruption. Think about how all the people in the world got success and they got millions of dollars and they got this and they got that, you know. And a lot of people will tell you that they worked hard or this, but a lot of people were just blessed by the demiurge, or they were just lucky, which is blessed by the demiurge. You know, some of us are short. Some of us are, you know, we don't look the best. And then you see people that are taller than you, that look better than you, that have better lives than you, that never went through the things you went through. You see some of the, you know, one of the worst things is when people who never been through anything that you've been through try to tell you about your own life. It's like, you never been through the things I've been through, and you would have never survived the things that I survived. I'm a strong mother effer because I survived things that most people would never survive. I survived things that most people would have off themselves by now, right? And I'm still going and I'm still rocking on because I have no choice but to keep going on, right? I don't have a family. I don't have a place to live. I don't have any money, and I'm trying my best to maintain. Right? And, you know, it's crazy. Right? And it's just not fair, man. When I see people like a David Dobrik and I see a life he lives, I'm like, the demiurge loves that man, which means that he's not a threat to the system. Because if you're a threat to the system, you're never going to be blessed with so much wealth and so much success where you're literally making millions of dollars every month. Not millions of dollars a year. I'm talking about millions of dollars in a month. Meanwhile, people like us will never see $1 million in a million years. If we had 1 million years to live, we still wouldn't have $1 million to ourselves, right? Because the government would tax the hell out of us, and we'll never have $1 million all to ourselves. There'll always be something that takes away our happiness, man. And there's like this fusion in this world of, you know, corruption, self-destruction. And what I mean by self-destruction is when you get so depressed that you start getting addicted to things, addicted to video games, addicted to substances, addicted to adult explicit material, and then you start to feel bad about it because you feel like you relapsed on something. Like, damn, I feel bad about that. I didn't want to, watch adult explicit material, or I didn't want to smoke, or I didn't want to drink or whatever. But man, people like us, bro, if that's your cope and that keeps you from, going ER, then you should, prioritize your mental health and prioritize some arbitrary rules you set for yourself. That doesn't mean nothing. Just because you think you're doing good doesn't mean nothing, because no one cares. The girl that you like doesn't care. If she doesn't like you, right, if she's not physically attracted to you right off the bat, it doesn't matter, because we already know physical attraction is everything, man. How many times have you seen girls that are just evil, but they're physically attractive and they get away with all types of crap, right? So, and these girls don't set rules and limits on themselves. They only set rules to how many Chads and Tyrones they have in a night or have in a weekend, right? So don't beat yourself up about if you relapse, quote unquote, on something that you're addicted to. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're not bothering anybody, you're fine, man, right? As long as you're minding your own business and you're not bothering anybody, then hell, enjoy. That's what I gotta say, because the elites do things that they're addicted to that not only hurt people, but it actually destroys people and entire civilizations. Look at the degradation of America, right? I mean, America, let's be real. Can we be honest for a second? America was never some innocent country, just like ancient Rome, right? America was never some country that was just 100% angels and sweet and innocent. It's like, come on, bro. Just look at the history of America. That's all I got to say. I don't have to go into details. Look at the history of ancient Rome. Rome conquered by the edge of the blade, right? Rome went places and they conquered people and then inherited those people into the kingdom. And those people helped, build up the kingdom. The Roman emperors were some of the most worst people to ever live, Like recently I've been studying Emperor Caligula and Emperor Tiberius and Emperor Commodus. And these guys were some sick, evil, twisted beings. They did things that you can't even imagine. There's some things that the Romans didn't even write down. They said they wouldn't write it down. If you read some of the ancient texts, it's like it's just too horrendous it's so horrendous about what they did. And that was thousands of years ago. Yet thousands of years in the future, nothing really changed except, the way the money looks and the way civilization looks. But morally, it's still the same things. The people that run the world are the most evil, corrupted bastards you'll ever see. And then they have the nerve to act innocent. They have the nerve to set laws upon us. But then they break those same laws. It's like it's like no laws for me and laws for thee. That's how they run the world. And you sit back as a person trying to make it. You're working your job, you're paying your bills, you're trying to be a quote unquote adult. And yet there's people that never worked a job in their life. They never worked a job. Never. And they never had to, and they never will have to. And yet this God will sit there and bless them even more. Look at David Dobrik, Look at the Corey Kinchins and people like that. Like, you're blessed with an audience that cares about you. No one's trying to mess with you. No one's trying to bother you. Like, people just get mad because you don't upload enough. There's people that have been trying to make YouTube channels for years and their content just doesn't hit. Yet you have like millions of people that love your content, and you say you get tired and you take 2 years off of making content. Like, bro, you can't even make one video. like just to let your fans know that you're alive or you're happy. You take 2 years off, and then you take 2 years off and don't say anything. You go ghost, right? You're just so spoiled. You have a whole audience of people that care about you, and yet you don't realize that people like us would do anything to have an audience like that. Do you know what I would do to have millions of people who like me and listen to my voice, and anything I release, they'll buy. I release music, they buy it. I release a book and they buy it. I got a bunch of people, subscribe to my channel membership. I got people subscribe to my, like whatever website I have, and they love it, they like it, and they support me. And then all of a sudden I go 2, 3 years without uploading, without telling anybody where I'm doing, where I'm at, or anything, and then come back and complain about how I'm having mental health issues. I'm a multi-millionaire. Man, we don't want to hear that crap. You're a multi-millionaire. Your life is an anomaly. You're a millionaire. You're not a regular person anymore. You have power, you have wealth, you have influence, you have things that we can only dream about. And even in our dreams, we still can't even dream about it because it's still so amazing that you have all that. That's why I have no sympathy for these streamers and YouTubers that talk about they're going through mental health issues. Like, what mental health issue are you going through? What Ferrari but what color Ferrari you're going to buy next? What color mansion you're going to buy? Some thought or some bot that you met online? What kind of house or apartment you're going to buy her? Or what kind of dress you're going to buy her? It's like, bro, you don't know what real problems and what real struggles are. You know, people in our position, we understand that. You know, a lot of us work jobs and still broke. A lot of us can never escape that cycle because how can you save up for wealth when you're so tired and drained from your job? You come home from your job and you're too tired and drained to do anything else. So how can you work on that business idea? How can you build when you don't have the time to build because all your time is spent on earning that dollar, and the dollar that you earn is barely enough to keep you inside your apartment, or barely enough to keep you paying rent at your parents' house. And then your parents who make you pay rent, it's crazy because they should be trying to tell you like, hey man, we'll let you stay here from a time for free so you can save up and then you can get your own spot instead of making you pay rent, because it's just like a bottomless abyss at that point. You work your job, you pay rent to your parents, and then you can never really move out and save unless you get a couple of jobs. And even then it's like, damn, it's not, and then you get gaslighted by the older generations. I understand helping people out when you have the money to, like buying certain things to help out in the household. That's fine, right? But it's when they're taking more than half of your paycheck and you barely have enough to survive yourself, how do you expect to really get out that situation? And plus, your parents should be the ones that are wealthy and rich, the ones that should put you in a position of financial acceleration and stabilization, not financial degradation and elimination. No, you shouldn't be in a position where you're always struggling all the time. That's not natural and that's not normal, man. It's not normal to be somebody that's always struggling with money all the time. Well, that's normal, but it's not supposed to be normal, is what I mean to say. It's like it shouldn't be normal to be struggling with money all the time. This world has so much abundance because when America's special ally asks for money, they get the money that they ask for. But when you as an American citizen, when you want something, people are like, oh, you got to work for it, or you're being lazy, or you're on EBT, you're on food stamps, or you don't want to work. But when America's favorite ally gets billions of dollars, no one dare complains about that. And if you do complain about that, you'll find yourself being silenced very quickly, swiftly, and vigorously, right? You see, nobody can talk about America's greatest ally without getting in trouble. It's very stressful, man, trying to survive this hell that we're in, and trying to maintain and trying not to go insane. And, then you got people talking about, oh, stop complaining. Oh, you're always complaining and this, that, and this. And it's like, well, maybe if life was a lot better, we wouldn't be pointing out the flaws of life. I don't look at it as complaining. When somebody has you by the balls and a pistol to your face and they're doing unspeakable acts to you where you feel like you can't even move, what do you expect? Like, are you supposed to stay silent? When somebody pushes you into a fire, do you not scream? Right? A lot of us are burning inside. We've had hopes, we've had dreams that are never going to be fulfilled. That's going to create a psychological detachment to your soul. How many of us really want to be at the job you're at now? Tell me, are you working your dream job? Tell me if is the job you're working now so good that if somebody said, I'll give you $1 million to quit your job, is the job you're working now so good that you'll be like, nah, I'll take the million, but I'll still go to work every day? Or you'll take that $1 million and you'll never even think about that job again and actually begin to live your life and do the things that you want to do, have control in your life, have power in your life, right? Do you know how many people in this world are hurting, that are lonely, that never had a girlfriend or never been on a date, never had a real kiss from a girl? Hell, it's people that never had a hug from a girl besides besides their sister or their mom or their auntie or grandma or something like that. There's people in this world that never had a hug from a girl, never held hands with a girl, never had a girl sit on their lap before, never had any of these things, right? There's people that really went through it in this world and they don't have nothing. There's people that worked hard in this world and they have nothing to show for it. There's people that did everything right and they still failed and they're still in this ice hell. Then there's people that did the totally wrong things and they got blessed for it. Look at Jeremy Meeks. Got a billionaire from prison. That's like the biggest flex of all time. You're literally sitting in a prison cell and you're able to pull a billionaire while there's people out here going to college, getting jobs, getting degrees, and doing all these things. And they'll never be able to be in a position like that to get a billionaire. Not a millionaire, a multi-billionaire. Like, you know how crazy that is to be able to get that? It's why does this world seem like it blesses people that are evil and people that are good people never get blessed? Like why? Like what the hell? Like what kind of God would create that? What kind of God would create an inversion, create things upside down? What God would do that but the demiurge, but an evil, wicked, sadistic, twisted, ballistic monster? The God of this world is not your friend. And when you're praying to it, you're just empowering it over your emotions. And you're just empowering it and giving it, a reason to loose you. Luch energy farming is real. You be having a good day, minding your business, then all of a sudden somebody comes and ruins your peace. That's called Luch. You're getting loosed. You're getting Luch farmed. I know it sounds ridiculous to a normie at first, but if you really look at the events in your life, you can tell that there's some type of entity or some type of something that's making sure that you go through hell, that's making sure you're going through all this pain, that's making sure that you're never happy. And then they wonder why people stay in their rooms and stay away from everybody and then everybody talks about them. It's like, if this person's not bothering you, why don't you just mind your business and just focus on yourself, right? But people can't do that. Because a lot of people are put in this world just to harass you. You go like I'm talking about just walking outside and minding your business. There's gonna be you can be outside at a park late at night, just sitting there thinking to yourself, hell, maybe smoking a joint or something, and somebody can be watching you through the window and call the police on you. And it's like, why would you do that? Why couldn't you just mind your business? Like, are you really out? Are you really looking through your window at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning? Really? Just so you can call the police on somebody? Or just so you can mess with somebody? And then you're so cowardly, you hide and don't let anybody know who you are. Like, to me, like, those are all archonic behavior. Those are all things done by the demiurge and the Hylics and the NPCs just to make sure certain people don't have any peace. This world is absolutely brutal, man.